a great question, by the way, from Gibbs Dibs, and his question is asking, how do you disguise your coverage? How do you create unique type of defensive plays? And we're going to call that hybrid defense. And this, again, is something that we really stress in our winner's kit on MaddenTips.com. And what this is comprised of, typically the way we set it up, is some type of zone blitz with a combination of man-to-man coverage with it. This is typically how I play.
Show what that looks like on the screen.
Farles does it a different way. So this is what a zone blitz right here. And I'm not saying this is going to work because it's not a play I actually run here. But what you end up doing in this situation is I'm going to try and send pressure off this left edge, set my play up. But then what I always like to say and recommend is I want to roll my coverage to the opposite side of the field, because if I'm sending pressure off that left edge, the quarterback should naturally go from left to right on the field. So what I typically do there is I'll take a weak side linebacker that I don't need for the blitz, the pressure, and I man him up on whoever I think is the most important route on their offense. So in this case, I go ahead and I manned up the tight end. I know you want to throw that route. And look, the pressure didn't even come in, but it made you naturally roll to that right side of the field.
Right.
That's how I play. I know Farles, typically sometimes he won't send pressure, but he still does that same type of man-up coverage. Farles, tell me a little about that.
Right. So once again, if you see this formation, guys, you have to think 4 verticals. One of the most popular plays in the game. We went over it. It's on the YouTube channel right now, how to stop this play. But if you're new to this little play right here, you're going to get hit with this. So how do you stop it? Well, one thing you can do is to shut down the tight end. You can play a zone coverage, but since you don't really need the flat if you're expecting this, or you might not need this blitzer to get pressure, you can press A up on the right stick and then A, and that's going to make Vernon Davis get covered. Then I'll shade my zones. I'll shade my coverage inside with Y, right stick, inside. So everybody's going to play inside. And so there's a good chance, I expect this route to happen. Now I've got, the linebacker manned up. He's going to run with him the whole way. And what's good is after the snap, your opponent has to determine, is it man or zone? And they might, if they're looking here first, they might say, oh, he's manned up. That's cover one. That's cover one. But no, it's not. It's a zone coverage. It's zone coverage. You got 2 guys splitting it over here. But you have this one special little man up coming from inside Vernon Davis where he is going to be manned up. And it can create a lot of trouble for opponents who lock on to one read. Once again, you kind of bring that pressure, and you got Houston making a coverage over the middle of the field. That's something I do a lot, and it's been really successful for me. If your opponent beats you with a lot of corner throws to tight ends or tight end quick throws over the middle, it can stop a lot of the headache.
A little knowledge bomb, I think, right here for people, right? So if you go, this is another way I think when I play defense, right? When I look at the offense, right? Farles, what type of routes do the receivers on the very outside run?
Streaks? Outside routes, they can only run certain routes.
They for the most part, mostly verticals.
Everybody, yeah.
Mostly vertical patterns, right? A deep post, a sideline out, right? It's usually route on the sideline. Maybe sometimes if they out run to a drag, right? So if you know that information, right, and you say to yourself, well, that's really the only place where they're going to really hurt me, then I don't necessarily need to worry about them going anywhere else in the field. So typically what I'll end up doing is I might do something like this. I'll man up the interior receiver, so like a tight end or a slot receiver, and then I just leave the outside guys alone and say run into the deep zones. So I'll let them run out wide here, and I'm not really too worried now. I can use this deep safety and feel comfortable because I know there's 2 guys manned up on the interior guys, so I don't have to worry about the deep middle because the deep routes, right? Look at the deep routes. It's like they're already manned up, in theory, right? They're already manned up because there's 2 deep verticals. The only way you get burnt by this is if they were to run, if they ran a drag or something, right? Like if I were to do this and then you were to drag X or something, drag B. That's where you can get in a little trouble because now you lose some of those underneath zones, but you can see where that potentially could cause a problem for you.
Right. So man up the middle, keep the outsides locked.
Right.
I like